Hello, Facebook Live. It's day. Oh, damn it! I lost track. I think it's day 9. It's day 8 or day 9 of the 30-day life challenge. Well, whichever. It's definitely day 8 or day 9 of the 30-day life challenge. And today, as promised, I'm going to speak to you about the topic of coming alive and really feeling fully alive. And what are the secrets? What are the key ingredients for us to feel alive every day of our lives? And so if you were here yesterday, you know that I gave you a little homework. Yesterday, I gave you a little contemplation inquiry, and I gave you 2 questions. And so to start with, I would like us to look at those questions. So the first question I gave you was, what are the experiences, the moments, the memories of your life that you remember the very best? And I mean like detailed, clear, like it's just the memory is alive for you when you think about it. And then the second question I asked you was, when you look at those memories that you have, that you remember the very best, what do all those memories have in common? And so if you've done the homework, you notice that these questions are very specific. And why is that so? Well, if we look at these memories, one of the things that all of the memories have in common, that we remember the clearest, the best, the most detailed, is they usually feel very alive for us when we think about them. They are very alive, they are very strong, they are very vivid, they're very detailed, and we connect very strong emotions to them. And this is the key word. We connect very strong emotions to them. And this is exactly where we're going to go in. So this is true for all kinds of memories, the good ones and the bad ones. And so for me, for example, I, of course, also did the homework, of course. For me, for example, some of the memories that I remember the best and the clearest they're not all positive, but they're all very strong. One of them is a car accident I was in last year. That was a very, very scary and very intense experience. A car accident where a truck crushed into our car from behind at a rather high speed. So that is a very vivid memory that I have. And that's, of course, not such a pretty one, but it's a very vivid memory that I have. Another very vivid memory that I have is actually a Christmas party with family that was just really, really beautiful, and where I just felt so much joy and love and gratitude. And that is a very vivid memory that I have. Another very vivid memory I have has a completely different emotion to it, is the first time that when I was training for my show jumping exam, so in horse riding, when I the first time jumped a 1.20 meter fence. So if you're not into horse riding, show jumping, let me tell you, jumping a 1.20 meter fence when you're usually not that much of a jumper is really, really high. Like really high. But I was super dedicated and committed to like doing my exam. So that was the last exam I was still missing to have all the horse riding exams you can do, in Austria at least. And so I was totally committed to doing that. And it meant I had to jump 1.20 meter. And so when I was in training and the first time the trainer pulled the fence up to 120, I was like, oh my God, that's scary. But I had a great horse. And I remember the excitement and the nervousness and also the fear as I galloped towards that jump for the first time, and we were like getting closer and closer and closer to the fence, and then like we jumped over it, and as we were above it, I was realizing like, oh, we're doing it, and it seems to work. Oh my god! And then we landed on the other side, and we made it over it safely, and I was like, oh my god! I just jumped 1.20 meters. Oh, that's so exciting. That's so cool because I'm so sorry, I got something in my eye here. Just a second. I actually remember that much better than I remember the day of the exam. Because the day of the exam, I had trained so much and so well that when it came to the exam, the judges were actually really nice, and they put the fences down to 1 meter, and we had trained for weeks at 1.20 meters. So the 1 meter fences were like literally child's play for us. So at the day of the exam, I was not nervous at all because it was child's play to do that. So I remember actually that first time that I jumped a 1.20 meter fence better than I remember the day of the exam, writing the exam. So yeah, that's one of my memories, for example. And there's so many more. I have a billion other memories that I could mention now. But what do all of these have in common? They all have very strong emotions attached to them. And why is that relevant when we talk about the topic of coming alive? Well, when we look back at our lives, these are usually the moments where we felt the most alive. Like, we look back at our lives and we think like these were moments where we felt really alive. And so what we see is that in that pattern, we can recognize that our feeling of aliveness is strongly connected to emotions. Just like our ability to anchor in memory is strongly connected to emotions. So the stronger we feel emotions in a moment, the more we anchor the moment in, the stronger, the more vivid and the stronger the memory will be. And so our feeling of aliveness is directly related to how strong we feel emotions in the moment, or better said, how fully we can feel emotions and how intensely we can feel emotions in that moment. So when you experience a very strong emotion, a very intense emotion, it will make you feel alive, no matter if it's a positive one or a negative one. So experiencing intense anger or sadness or even grief makes you feel just as alive as experiencing intense joy or love or gratitude or happiness or excitement. So the feeling of aliveness is directly connected to our emotional experience of life. And why so many people struggle with feeling alive in their daily lives is that they actually made a habit of suppressing their emotions. Because most of us have not learned how to healthily process emotions within our bodies, within our nervous systems. We have learned to be okay, like it's okay to feel the good emotions, not too much. Learn to put it down there a bit too. But you can be happy, you can be joyful and everything. But we have also been trained and taught to completely suppress our negative emotions. Like, don't be too angry. Don't be angry. Don't be sad. Don't be scared. Like, we don't want that. So don't be that. So we completely suppress that. And what happens is when we do that, when we completely suppress one side of the spectrum of our emotional experience, of our emotional bandwidth, is we suppress the other spectrum too. You can't suppress one side completely and not expect the other side to be affected. So if you can't let yourself feel anger and fear and grief and pain, then you will not be able to let yourself feel much joy and happiness and excitement and love and gratitude. Because it always goes two ways. The bandwidth you have on one side is the bandwidth you have on the other side. That's how our nervous system works, because emotions are energy. And if you cannot handle much energy on one side of the spectrum, your nervous system will shrink to a point where it can't handle much energy on the other side of the spectrum either. So you will start repressing your joy. You will start repressing your happiness, your gratitude, your love, your excitement too. Because it's just naturally what happens. And many of us have been taught all our lives to suppress these emotions, instead of having been taught how to healthily process and hold emotions. And so what we have to do is we have to learn again that it is safe to feel, and to do so in a healthy way, to process and feel emotions in a healthy way, to learn to let that energy move through our bodies and allow ourselves to feel them fully and let them express through us, let that energy express through us and feel in a healthy way, so that then we can expand our bandwidth. And we can again return to that state where we have the full bandwidth of our emotional scale available to us. And when we do, when we heal our relationship to our emotions and to how we experience emotions, and we can allow ourselves to feel all of our emotions, not just the good ones, what happens is that we naturally, much more often and much more intensely, will experience beautiful emotional states. And when I say beautiful, I'm not just referring to what we call the positive emotions of love, joy, gratitude, happiness. I also mean the other side. You can experience beautiful sadness, beautiful, powerful anger, absolutely beautiful experiences of fear are possible too. That might sound crazy if you haven't done that deep work yet, but it's possible. Because it's an expression of you. Every emotion is simply and plainly an expression of you and your energy and how it wants to move in that moment. And that is always beautiful. And when we learn that emotions are not detrimental and not, we're gonna feel like that forever kind of thing, but they're just energy passing through, we can learn to fully give in to them and allow the process and find the beauty in it. And when we do, we will naturally train our nervous system, again, that it's safe to feel our emotions, it's safe to feel emotional, and it's safe to feel intense emotions, to feel lots of emotions. And when that happens, we will naturally have so much more intense and beautiful emotional experiences in day-to-day life, like me yesterday. So yesterday was the first day I was able to leave the house. That was so exciting. I was able to go out of the house, and we went for a little drive just to see the colors of fall. And it was just so beautiful, the colors. And then there was this incredibly perfect golden light, that last hour before the sun is setting kind of light. And with the fall colors of reds and oranges and yellows. And it was so beautiful. Like, my heart felt full. I felt so grateful and just so amazed and inspired by the beauty, and in such awe, it moved me to tears. And there was nothing crazy happening. It was just the beauty of nature. And I will remember that moment forever, because what I felt in that moment, for being touched by the beauty of nature in that way, was so intense and all consuming. I will never forget that moment. Never. And that's what makes us feel alive. Here we come full circle. That is what makes us feel alive. The moments we feel the most alive is the moments we feel the most intensely, where our emotions are fully free to flow through us in their full intensity, in their full expansive expression. That's when we feel alive. And the more we learn to allow that again naturally, because naturally we would have it. We are born with that. We learn to suppress it because we are not taught how to healthily live with that. We are taught to suppress it. And so when we return to that natural state where our emotions flow through us in that way so naturally and freely and unsuppressed and unstopped, then we start feeling alive on a daily basis again. Simple things can move us deeply, like me yesterday with that beauty, with the light and the colors, and we have all that emotion flow through us, and we feel so alive, so alive. And it becomes a daily thing. Little things in everyday life make us feel so alive. We don't have to look for the rush anymore to feel alive. We can feel alive here, now, in that moment. Little things are enough. It all comes down to how much can you let yourself feel. This is what I wanted to speak to you about today. This is a topic I care about so deeply because I truly think if we all fully regain that ability to feel in a healthy way and fully and come back to our aliveness like that, the world becomes a better place. It just can't stay the same. It becomes better. It becomes more alive. It becomes more vivid. It becomes more beautiful. And I truly believe that that's an important step for all of us. So if you're doing the work, thank you so much. You're helping make this world a better place. And with that being said, I'll leave it at that. Thank you for being here. It was, as always, a pleasure to speak to you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment below if you have something to share on the matter. I always love to hear what you guys think about these topics and what your experiences are. So please feel free. And if you know someone who you think could really profit from this video or who might love it, please feel free to share. I always appreciate any shares. And yeah, I'm going to see you again tomorrow with another interesting topic we're going to discuss. And for now, I wish you a good night. Thank you for being here. I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow.